What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the other day, we actually got some new information for the brand new Battlefield playtest that was going on. And let me tell you guys something, it is looking absolutely juicy. I mean, my goodness. Part of me believes the developers know this is going to happen, right? Although I heard the individuals who leaked the first playtest did indeed get in trouble. So it's, it's at the end of the day, you're not supposed to leak anything, but the developers made it very, very, very specific that they want the community to see and play this title over just talk and trailers, so on and so forth. And so far throughout the whole life cycle of this game right now, compared to any other Battlefield game, we have seen so much footage over, clickbaity trailers that it's been phenomenal. This is exactly what we've been asking for. Footage. Screw everything else. Screw the talk. We want footage. It really makes me think the developers are, intentionally doing this. But again, everybody's still getting in trouble. But regardless, we have some new information, guys. And of course, I want to share each and every bit of it with all of you right here, right now. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, before we go and dive deep, if you guys are interested in more content just like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. We post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern time. And of course, if you guys are interested in my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch, starting between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, if you guys are interested, got to link that channel down in the description of this video. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, obviously, I can't showcase any of these leaks to you guys. I will get in some massive trouble. So, of course, go on the internet, Reddit, Twitter, anywhere, and just look up the leaks, man. They are literally everywhere. I'm not lying to you guys. It's not hard to find them whatsoever. And believe it or not, EA isn't striking them down either. They're allowing them to stay up for long periods of time. So, in all reality, you're not really in any sort of rush to be able to find these leaks before they're struck down. You'll be able to find them, trust me. But I really want to hyper-focus on something very important in today's video when it comes to these leaks, because we have seen a few things in the footage. Like, for example, we've seen a new type of rocket launcher, which looks really unique. We've also seen a little bit more footage of the dragging feature for medics, which looks outstanding. I know I've heard a lot of controversial opinions about this. I don't know why it's controversial. It just adds to the medic style, so I don't know why anybody would hate it, but it looks outstanding. Portable cover. We've also seen people, try to dabble in the roll feature, which is something that I'm a little mixed with, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. Looks good, solid for a pre-alpha. Obviously, the animations are going to be polished over time. And I really wish people would stop critiquing the animations and all of these other things that are just simply placeholders. Guys, you have to understand, this is a very early pre-alpha build. This isn't even close to the launch version of the game. So clearly, things are going to look horrendous a lot of the times. Patience is key. I guarantee you this company is not going to give us the worst looking animations. They're a AAA team. Even Battlefield 2042 has, not the worst of the worst. They're not amazing, of course, compared to what we usually have. But again, we're not going to get garbage, in my personal opinion, when it comes to this team. You just got to give them a little time to polish it off. But when it comes to rolling, I'm a little mixed on this topic because of the fact that when you do, engage in this role, it's a little hard. It's a little jarring to keep, contact, keep eyesight on the enemies. If someone's below you or if an enemy is shooting at you, in all reality, I'm going to be real with you guys, I would much rather just land on my feet, and continue to engage or see what they're doing. If you do a barrel roll, not only will you not see what they're doing, where they're strafing, or where they're heading to, but at the same time, it's a bunch of easy shots that they can shoot you with while you are in a full animation and you can't shoot your gun whatsoever. But again, regardless, I'm still down for it. If they want to implement this into the game, I'm still here for it. It's not the end of the world. You just got to change up your playstyle a little bit. I'm just sharing why I personally would kind of prefer it not to be in there. But again, like I said, it's not the end of the world. And same thing with the dive feature. I've seen the dive feature being used in this new playtest as well. Looks interesting. It doesn't look as obnoxious as Black Ops 6, where you can spam it every 2 seconds. It looks a little bit more fine-tuned, but still useful to a certain degree. I don't know how I feel about this one, but again, only time will tell. I'm just overly excited that I don't see anybody tack sprinting. I think that's what, is keeping my excitement here. We can all, give our takes on whether rolling combat rolls or, all this other stuff is going to be solid or not solid, diving, who cares? What really matters is the pacing of this game looks outstanding. Every single bit of footage I've seen looks really cool and good when it comes to the pacing of infantry combat. But again, what I really want to talk about in today's video from these leaks are how good these maps are turning out to be. The new map that we got to see is called Battery. And let me tell you guys something. It looks absolutely outstanding. And I'm not talking about visuals, although the visuals are probably going to be very crispy. But again, this footage is very low quality. And I know everybody's making fun of the people for leaking it at this quality. But if I'm going to be real with you guys, it's probably for strategic reasons. The last playtest, a lot of the devs were able to, do a few things to the footage to allow them to see who's doing what. You know what I'm saying? So they can ban the proper people. I'm assuming they put this very, 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 very low quality footage out so we can still see what the game looks like without the devs being able to completely ban them out of the experience. Because, I mean, who wants to get banned out of trying the new Battlefield game, right? But when it comes to this map, the layout looks perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys know me. I've been covering FPS games for a very long time. And one of the most crucial aspects of an FPS game, next to gunplay, of course. Gunplay is always going to be probably number one in my personal opinion. If the gunplay is bad, I mean, why would you even play that FPS game, right? You know, that's always crucial. But right next to that are the map designs. If the maps are absolute garbage, the game will fail. Doesn't matter how good the gunplay is. Again, the gunplay is extremely important. But if you have amazing gunplay with the worst maps known to mankind, you know, they pair together nicely. You know, you kind of need both to make a game be successful and shine in the FPS space. You know what I'm saying here? They're very crucial. And, you know, the perfect example is Battlefield 2042. I would say the specialists definitely did, you know, take a huge toll on the audience who played this game. But I would say the maps alone were enough to push people away from this game and never revisit it. Even after the developer spent the whole year plus redoing all of the maps to make them better, and I'll give the devs props, you know, they did make them better, although, you know, I mean, it's not that hard. All they had to do was add some crates and cover to the maps. So it's not like they actually revamped them in any way besides adding more cover to them. But, you know, at the end of the day, regardless, they got them to a better playing spot. I enjoy them much more now. They're actually playable. But in the beginning, they were trash. Some of the worst maps I've ever seen, not only in Battlefield history, but in FPS history. And again, that alone pushed everybody away from the experience. Here in Battlefield, the new Battlefield, I want to call it Battlefield 6, but until we know the official name, I'm just going to call it the new, quote-unquote, new Battlefield. In this new Battlefield experience, every single map I have seen hyper-focuses the infantry combat, and it makes me so freaking happy. This right here is exactly what I want to see, and it's one of the main reasons why I prefer Battlefield 3 over Battlefield 4. A lot of people always ask me why I prefer, you know, 3 over 4 because 4 was such a masterpiece. But in my opinion, 4, it was a vehicle game. I gotta be honest. The infantry combat was fun, but there's a reason a lot of people wanted to go on lockers all the time. You know what I'm saying? And just, you know, farm off kills in there. Because the majority of the maps were made for vehicle combat. Helicopters, tanks, you know, all of the above dominated Battlefield 4. Battlefield 3, although the vehicles had very good gameplay, it was much easier for infantry to be able to navigate the maps, find engagements, and not get overwhelmed. And that is what I'm getting out of this new Battlefield experience. Every map I've seen allows vehicles to thrive. I see tanks. You know, on the new map Battery here, I saw tank gameplay, and it looks very fun. But it's not overwhelming. They're not dominating the whole map and destroying everything to the point where only they can benefit, you know, and the infantry can't benefit anymore. It kind of seems like every single type of playstyle has their own lane in these maps, you know what I'm saying? And although lanes can split and a tank can go over to more of the infantry lanes, or, you know, the infantry can go over to the, you know, the tank lanes, at the end of the day, you have to be strategic about it. You know what I'm saying? Like if a tank goes into the more tighter lanes, they got to push with their units. You know, they have to have people cover them and push up and engage and be a bit of a distraction while they also push up with, you know, heavy armor. And same thing with the infantry. If they want to go to, you know, more of the outskirts of where the tanks are going to be dominating on more open roads, they got to be prepped. Smokes, you know, I don't know if EMPs are going to be in the game, but EMPs, rockets, C4, whatever you got to be ready to take down some heavy armor, you know? And I like that. Again, in some of these other games, it's like I said, the tanks can just literally level the whole map, and then infantry is screwed, and then the tanks get to, you know, rain terror down on everyone. It doesn't seem that is the case here. The lanes just look fantastic. The infantry combat, which is what I'm all about, although I love playing vehicles in Battlefield still, I love it to death, but I love infantry the most. It just looks outstanding so far. I know we'll probably see some bigger maps later down the road, but if the mass majority of them are these sizes along with these type of lanes, I'm all for it. I'm excited. And I also want to see what Breakthrough or whatever, you know, linear style mode they are planning on is going to look like on these maps. Because so far, we have only seen Conquest. That is what I'm very excited to see. And I hope that DICE pushes forward with Operations from Battlefield 1. That will be even cooler to see. But one last thing I want to mention about the maps as well is the destruction. The destruction in this game is freaking phenomenal. And I really do believe that 128 players, as much as I enjoyed it and I thought that it's a cool concept, it just wasn't executed properly. It did indeed speed way down on the destruction in 2042, where it was non-existent. It was just too much for the game to handle. You know, the whole game would be probably performing horribly. They toned down the player count again, and you could tell that they went extra with the destruction. And you could also tell that they don't want to get one-upped by, you know, the people over at the finals, because for those who don't know, the finals is actually run by the OG DICE developers who pretty much built the Battlefield franchise, who built the destruction models, and they're going to town over, you know, at the finals. So I'm sure they don't want to be embarrassed anymore. So they have to step their game up when it comes to the destruction, and it just looks so good, man, to the point where the rubble from these buildings crumbling down form actual cover. You know, they don't go away. And a lot of these other Battlefield games, it looks great. You know, like Battlefield 1, for example, you blow up a side of a building, it looks phenomenal. It's awesome. It's epic. You know, but at the end of the day, the road's clear. You know, it's a moment in time where it might be some smoke that you can, you know, use as cover to push up a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the same open road, the same open lane. Here in the new Battlefield, if you blow up a side of a building, that crumbles over a little bit and now becomes cover. You can use that to engage and move forward, whether you were intending to do that or not. I freaking love that. That is so... It's tiny. You would think it's tiny, but it's huge, and it's going to change the whole gameplay flow of what we know about Battlefield and being able to use destruction in our favor. We're not just going to be abusing it to, you know, open up different entryways to kill a camper or, you know, blow away cover. We're also going to be using it to build cover. I love that idea. It's such a cool concept, and I hope, you know, to see more of this going into the future. But ladies and gentlemen, DICE is cooking. That's all I gotta say. They are seriously cooking. I know I should not be excited about any of this stuff after what we got with 2042. But like I said, they're showing us gameplay. Well, they're not showing us. The leakers are showing us. But they're so open with us. They're not even striking down the footage. Like I said, weeks after some of this stuff has leaked, they're still up. Even from the first playtest. Like... I don't think they want to shut it down. Although, you know, obviously they wouldn't want to because they're getting so much positive feedback. And, you know, when you get so much positive feedback, especially after a game like Battlefield 2042, they probably want to soak it up as much as possible. But in all reality, you know, EA would have probably struck it down. I think that they want people to see this game, you know, and at the end of the day, they want them to play this game. It's not about the trailers. It's not about the talk. It's about the product itself. And I'm very happy they're taking this approach because this has been a blast looking at all these leaks and all of this footage. And it helps me and a lot of the other community understand what we're about to be getting ourselves into. And let me tell you guys something. I am way more pumped to get into this compared to loading up another match at 2042. I'll be real. It's very hard. Although, you know, it's gotten better and the new event's cool and all. But man, every single time I see new footage of the new Battlefield, it's like, you know, you load up 2042 and like, wow, what the heck am I playing right now? It's hard, man. It really is. But, you know, time will go, it'll pass, and we'll eventually get the beta, the full launch, and we'll see. You know, you never know. Things might change. You know, things might get worse. But for the time being, it's looking very solid. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. I post daily here at 8 morning Eastern time. And of course, if you guys are interested in my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch, starting between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, if you guys are interested, got a link to that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.